Hey, good afternoon, y'all. It's Ned over at myphilippinedreams.com, N to the E to the D over at MPD. And I am running solo because Michelle is dealing with a tooth infection right now. She's actually got a funny story to relate about that. We'll probably do that in a weekly update on Monday or Tuesday. I'll let her tell the story. And we're coming back on a high note. We took like a week off. It really wasn't planned. It just kind of happened. It was a combination of things going on here and just laziness. And we took some time off, but we're back. And we're coming back on a high note because we're going to be talking about some things that some people might not like about the Philippines. I'm not going to say it's things that I don't like about the Philippines because I've adjusted to most of them. I've adapted. I'm coping with most of them. Some of them still get under my skin. And I'm not going to say it's things I hate about the Philippines because I don't want to happen to me what happened to Jimmy Saizeka when he did his 20 Things I Hate About the Philippines. So we're going to be talking about some things that you, the viewer, our loyal viewers, might not like about the Philippines. First up, we're going to talk about pollution. Oh, and then at the end, the next video I'm going to do is coping strategies and how to deal with this and some alternatives that you have in order to deal with them. Again, a lot of it is our attitude when we come here. If we're expecting this to be a Western country or we're expecting this to be the United States, in my case, and I'm projecting all my values and expectations of it, I'm going to drive myself crazy. So you can't really do that. You got to really, if you're going to live here, if you're really going to live here, you really have to immerse yourself in the culture and you have to learn how to live here. Some days more successfully than others in my case. All right, so we got 15 things that you might not like about the Philippines. We'll try to get through them real quick. First up is pollution. This includes noise pollution from videoke machines, karaoke machines, which are not just like little Bang & Olufsen bookshelf speakers like we think of. These are massive PA systems that people have in their house with 22-inch subwoofers that rock the roof. So we're dealing with noise pollution from that. We're dealing with DBS mufflers. The dongs like to take the stock mufflers off their scooters and motorcycles and put on these loud exhausts, or they just take their exhausts off. So you get that going on all the time. We're also talking about trash. There's two types of problems with the trash here. People just kind of toss it all over the place. There's not really trash cans and trash bags. We were out on Apo Island. There was actually trash bags all over the place and everybody used them. And it seemed to work out really well because it's the cleanest place I've been in the Philippines. Also, you have the burning trash. Sometimes there's not trash pickup, so people just pile up their trash, their leaves, all kinds of plastic, all that stuff, and they light that up. Which causes a good amount of air pollution. And also air pollution. So we get the three types. We got noise, trash, and air. Air pollution, you're dealing with giant diesel engines here that sometimes aren't properly calibrated or they've lost basically all the compression because they need to rebuild. So they're constantly spewing out giant black clouds. And also the burning trash. The combination can actually, you can see it. Like if you were look close at my eyes, you can see how red they are most of the time. And again, that's just from driving around here. Those are the diesel fumes, and that's the burning trash. You literally hit these giant clouds. It's usually in the early evening or evening when people start burning stuff, and you're literally driving through these clouds, and sometimes you have to slow down because you really can't even see where you're going. So that's the first thing, pollution. Heat is the second thing you might not like about the Philippines. It is hot here. You do tend to acclimate over time. It does take time, but it's always hot and it's always humid. Some days are much worse than others. We're just starting to go into our summer season here, and you can notice the change already. When the trade winds are blowing, it's not a problem. Customer service, number 3, something else you might not like about the Philippines. Filipino employees don't get paid a lot of money. Filipino waiters and waitresses really don't get their tips. It goes to a communal jar and then it gets dispersed after the manager goes through and takes whatever he wants out of it. So there's not a lot of monetary imperative to provide good customer service. And sometimes they don't know about the products that they're selling or what they have in stock. So that's something that you might not like about the Philippines. Next up is natural disasters. The Philippines is in the ring of fire. So we're dealing with earthquakes, we're dealing with volcanoes, and we're dealing with typhoons. Actually not typhoons. In the Philippines, they're actually super typhoons. And these can happen extremely quickly. and they're deadly, and it can just wipe out entire cities. And there's many examples from recent times here in the Philippines of where that happens. So that's something you might not like about the Philippines, because again, a lot of areas in the West are not subjected to volcanoes and super typhoons and the constant threat of earthquakes. Another thing you might not like is the infrastructure or lack thereof in some areas. We're talking about electrical brownouts, where basically you're losing power for part of the day. We're talking about internet problems. We pay 1,000 pesos a month for 3 megabit, and it's sketchy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And we're also talking about the roads. There's not a huge tax revenue base to provide really first world, Western type infrastructure, even though in the US all our stuff's falling apart, I guess. So that's something else you have to keep in mind. Your internet might work, the power might go out at any time, and you really have to be careful when you're riding, because like if you're like me and you hit a pothole in Mabini and get 2 compression fractures on your spine, you're in a world of hurt, pretty much literally. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you look at the tax base of the Philippines compared to the West, in my case, the United States, the level of infrastructure they actually have here is actually pretty dang good, considering the amount of money that they have to work with. Again, we'll talk about that in the next video where we're coping with all this stuff. Driving. You might not like driving here. It's an acquired skill or mindset. The roads can be somewhat dangerous. Again, they're not that well maintained. There's always like carabao and pythons and all kinds of kids and all kinds of things pulling into the road. Filipinos sometimes when they're going onto a road, they don't look. Actually, that happens a lot. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Intersections. Here in Dumaguete, we don't have stop signs and we don't have lights, traffic lights. So again, it takes a bit of adjustment to get used to driving. I'm saying you won't like driving here because it's dangerous, but I also have this theory that Filipinos are actually better riders, motorcycles and scooters, than most of the Westerners that are here. You got to figure they've been on scooters since they've been like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And to actually see them, sometimes there'll be a checkpoint, so we have to go around the goat paths to get around it. And you can see them just blasting through these goat paths, texting with one hand and doing all that stuff. So driving, they're actually better drivers, but I don't think they're safer drivers because of just the way it is here.